le Christ roi!
While some may claim that the SSPX's submission to Modernist Rome was a natural progression, this letter, penned by 3 SSPX bishops in 2012, destroys that narrative. This is not speculation. This is not an outside critique. This is the public testimony of 3 of the 4 SSPX bishops themselves. On April 7th, 2012, just days before Bishop Fellay submitted the Doctrinal Declaration to Rome, Bishop de Galarreta and Bishop Tissier, along with Bishop Williamson, wrote an urgent letter to the SSPX leadership, warning against an agreement with Modernist Rome. They unanimously opposed any such agreement, stating outright that it would lead to the destruction of the society. In the letter they wrote, "By this letter, the 3 bishops of the FSSPX who do not form part of the General Council wish to let him, Bishop Fellay, know with all due respect of the unanimity of their formal opposition to any such agreement." These bishops understood the grave danger posed by Bishop Fellay's betrayal. They explicitly rejected the notion that Rome had changed. They predicted exactly what would happen if the SSPX pursued a practical agreement, and every warning they gave has now been fulfilled. The bishops exposed the lie of a friendly modernist Rome. The bishops demolished the claim that Pope Benedict XVI or the Vatican had improved its stance toward tradition. They said, the Roman discussions, the doctrinal preamble, and a CC3 are clear examples of this. The official authorities of the Church have deviated from Catholic truth, and today they are shown to be quite determined to always remain faithful to the conciliar doctrines and practices. This proves that Rome's modernist errors are permanent. The bishops recognized that no amount of diplomacy or goodwill gestures could change this reality. They warned that any agreement with Rome would be a trap. The bishops warned an agreement would silence SSPX's resistance. The bishops foretold that an agreement would force SSPX to soften its stance against Vatican II in the new Mass. They said an even purely practical agreement would necessarily silence, little by little, the society's full critique of the Council or the new Mass. By ceasing to attack the most important of all the victories of the Revolution, the poor society would necessarily cease being opposed to the universal apostasy of our sad times and would get bogged down. This is exactly what has happened. Since 2012, the Neo-SSPX has softened its criticism of Vatican II, stopped calling the Novus Ordo a danger to souls, accepted Rome's jurisdiction over its marriages and confessions, silenced and expelled priests who resist this betrayal. The bishops predicted this outcome with absolute clarity, yet their warnings were ignored. The bishops reminded Fellay of Archbishop Lefebvre's prophecy. They said, just before the consecration of the bishops in 1988, when many good people insisted to Monsignor Lefebvre that he reach a practical agreement with Rome, he said his thoughts to the 4 new bishops. A large field of apostolate perhaps, but in ambiguity and while following 2 directions opposed at the same time, and this would finish by us rotting. And again in 1989, Lefebvre warned, it is dangerous to put oneself into the hands of conciliar bishops in modernist Rome. It is the greatest danger threatening our people. The SSPX bishops in 2012 reminded Bishop Fellay of these words, warning him that they were just as true then as they were in 1988. But he ignored them. Instead of resisting Rome, Bishop Fellay continued forward with the agreement. The bishops explicitly predicted SSPX's corruption if it went forward with this agreement. They said, doesn't one see already in the fraternity symptoms of a lessening in its confessions of the faith? Indeed, we now see SSPX priests being punished for resisting compromise. Bishop Fellay and Father Schmidberger speaking favorably of Vatican II documents. SSPX actively collaborating with diocesan bishops in ways Lefebvre never permitted. Rome granting recognition to SSPX priests under conciliar conditions. They also warned that the destruction of the society would be inevitable. They said, "You want to lead the society to a point where it will no longer be able to turn back, to a profound division of no return." This is exactly what happened. The SSPX is no longer the same society that Archbishop Lefebvre founded. The bishops were right. Bishop Fellay betrayed the SSPX. This letter is the final nail in the coffin. It proves that the betrayal of the SSPX was planned, not accidental. The bishops of the SSPX themselves warned against it. Bishop Fellay and his collaborators ignored all warnings and submitted anyway. Everything the letter predicted has come true. This smoking gun document is undeniable proof that the SSPX leadership knowingly led the society into submission to Rome, against the warnings of its own bishops. The SSPX's deflections and failed cover-ups. Since 2012, the SSPX leadership has tried to spin the betrayal with a variety of contradictory excuses. But every excuse collapses under scrutiny. Excuse number 1. The Doctrinal Declaration was withdrawn, so it doesn't matter. SSPX leadership claims that because the 2012 Doctrinal Declaration was withdrawn, it was never a real problem. Why this narrative is false. Bishop Fellay never retracted it as an error. He only claimed that it was withdrawn due to a lack of understanding from Rome. This public document was signed and submitted to Rome, proving the SSPX leadership's intent. The contents of the declaration matched the changes in SSPX rhetoric after 2012. It was never truly rejected, only hidden. The betrayal wasn't just the document, it was the doctrinal shift behind it. Bishop Fellay claimed in 2012, "We are no longer in the days when we are fighting to keep the faith." Rome has changed, Rome has improved its perception of tradition. Why this is false. Archbishop Lefebvre condemned this argument repeatedly, warning that Modernist Rome would only offer recognition to destroy the SSPX from within. The Vatican has continued to persecute traditional Catholics. Rome has not changed. The SSPX has. If Rome had changed, why does the SSPX still have to submit to Vatican II's structure for marriages and confessions? This was always about submission, not recognition. We will still preach the truth. Nothing has changed.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
SSPX leadership claims that they still hold to the faith, so there has been no real betrayal. Why this is false. SSPX priests have been expelled or silenced for resisting the compromise, simply for reading the Doctrinal Declaration and condemning it from the pulpit. The society has stopped directly condemning Vatican II. It now treats the council as something that must be properly understood rather than rejected. The SSPX accepts Modernist Rome's jurisdiction over sacraments, something Archbishop Lefebvre refused. What good is preaching the truth if you are structurally submitting to those who oppose it? Excuse number 4. This is a conspiracy theory. There is no betrayal. SSPX defenders claim that allegations of compromise are just internet rumors and that there is no betrayal. Why this is false. The betrayal is documented in the SSPX's own words and actions. The Doctrinal Declaration, the bishop's letter, and public statements from SSPX leadership prove it. Bishop Fellay's own audio recordings confirm the shift. If there was no betrayal, why did 3 SSPX bishops openly oppose Fellay's leadership in 2012? This is not a theory, this is a documented reality. The betrayal is complete. There is no debate anymore. Bishop Fellay and the SSPX leadership knowingly pursued submission to Rome. 3 out of 4 SSPX bishops publicly opposed it, yet were ignored. The Doctrinal Declaration was not an accident. It was the final step in a long-term infiltration plan. Every warning from Archbishop Lefebvre and the resisting bishops has been fulfilled. The now neo-SSPX is no longer the Society of St. Pius X. It is now controlled opposition, and now the faithful must decide. Will they remain in a compromised SSPX? Or will they resist Modernist Rome, just as Archbishop Lefebvre commanded? The truth has been exposed. There is no going back. Viva Cristo Rey.
They swore to stand, they swore to fight, to guard tradition's holy light. But now they bow, their fire is gone. This is how they rule ya. 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 Lefebvre warned, no peace with Rome. Yet now you kneel before their throne. The deal was signed, the truth was lost. How they rule ya, how they rule ya, how they rule ya, how they rule ya. The bishops cried, this path is doomed. Yet still you walked into the tomb. Tradition sold for hollow gain. How they rule ya, how they rule ya, how they rule ya, how they rule ya. They claimed the church had changed its way, but modern Rome still leads astray. You let them in.